Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Marcana. I'm your host, Doug Leaf. Each episode of this podcast, we'll look back on the movies, TV, games, people, and phenomena that we still love talking about all these years later, and ask ourselves why these bits of pop culture still enchant us today. This week, we'll be revisiting...
the new sound funny, but it's still rock and roll to me.
Well, we finally made it. The podcast is big enough that we can just record an episode live at Madison Square Garden once a month for the end of time. We're talking about Billy Joel today, and I'm really glad to be digging into this topic. This is an absolute just dad's car backseat artist for me, just listening to this all of my youth. I love this stuff so much. But of course, I'm not doing it alone. I've got two big shots here with me to do it. Please welcome back to the podcast. You've heard them on many times before, most recently talking about Super Metroid. Musically, I think the last one we did was Queen. Welcome back, Matt Storm, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this. I want to see how many natural Joel titles you can fit into your bits through the rest of the episode. I'm going to keep track because, I mean, there's a lot of common words amongst them, like I'm, really excited to be here. An innocent man like myself. Can't wait to get into this. That was not as good as yours, but, there it is.
I don't know. You set me up for a lot of pressure, Matt. I don't know if I can do it. All right. Well, challenge accepted. Also, the other voice you're hearing has been on many musical podcasts before, including but not limited to, The Police and Led Zeppelin and Beatles. Just a few of these, small artists, indie bands. Please welcome back to the show, Dylan Riss.
Thank you. And to those who've heard them, I am not the stranger that I may seem to people who have only heard your non-music podcasts.
This is getting shameless. All right, we have to stop. Okay, well, we're off and running. So we'll start the podcast the way we always do by talking about our nostalgic memories. Matt, I think this idea was your baby, so I'll throw it to you. Tell me your nostalgic memories of Billy Joel and why he means so much to you.
Sure. I'm warning the listeners in advance. This may get a little schmaltzy and weepy. This is an artist. This is the first artist I ever got introduced to. I was introduced them to my father by my father. When Doug and I first started talking about doing this episode, my father was sick, but still with us. He unfortunately passed the end of last year as of when we're recording. And I wrote Doug soon after and went, we're going to need to push this out a bit. Because it hurt to kind of revisit, but I'm glad that I did. And yeah, my first concert, which I think was the River of Dreams tour, I was 8, 9, maybe 10. It's hard to remember. Time is a lake, but I went with my dad. He got us tickets, and I was just blown away. And I'd been listening to Billy Joel since I could have a conscious thought. It was one of my dad's favorites, along with like Elton John and the likes of that era. And so it's the only artist I think that is, I can use the word ubiquity in my life. Like someone I've always listened to, the last 6 months or so since Dad passed. It's been hard to like avoid these songs, except for when I was prepping for the show, because they just rip me open immediately. And music does that generally. I'm a very empathetic music listener, as I think we talked about before, but I ultimately still want to do it because I think somewhere he would enjoy it and it'd be fun to like share in probably. Like, I don't know if Billy Joel is my favorite artist of all time, but he's definitely one of the most important. He's definitely up there. I think there are other artists I might rank above him as like influential to me, but like he for sure is up there. It helps that fellow New Yorker, he's important to the oeuvre. And I feel like also as like a New York Jew, he's important, even though he himself is not one. I think it's important in the pantheon of Jews in New York too. So yeah, that's kind of my not so brief reason why I love Billy Joel and wanted to talk about him.
Cool. Dylan, how about you?
Well, Billy Joel for me, I can't say that it has quite the same, emotional connection just with Matt, and having that connection to one's father is remarkable and will always make that music special, no doubt. For me, Billy Joel was still very instrumental in my own childhood. He was basically the first living active artist that I was really into. There were only two that I was obsessed with, and it was Billy Joel and the Beatles. And, at that point, 3 of the 4 Beatles were alive, but they were long defunct. And so that was basically all I listened to. Eventually, a friend played an Aerosmith tape for me, and that changed my life. And that's a subject for another podcast from the archive. Yes, I'm sure Doug knows the episode number. Anyway, but Billy Joel was that for me. And maybe we'll talk about some of the specific albums when we get into the list. But that's what I would say. There was a period in my life prior to age 10 when there were only 2, rock bands that I listened to, and it was the Beatles and Billy Joel.
Yeah, I mentioned for me, like, this was, I said my dad, like, driving and listening to this as well, but also my mom. Like, my mom and my dad don't have very much in the middle of their musical Venn diagram, but this is one of them. They both loved Billy Joel, so we heard a lot of this in the car because it was something they could agree on. And, like, so it was always there, and I always liked it. And then later on, as I started, getting more into music and learning how to play music, I took piano lessons. I learned how to play the piano. I wanted to learn how to play the guitar, but as many times as I tried, my hands just won't fucking do it. My hands and my brain will not just get together on a guitar. I can't make it happen. So it was like, okay, then the piano's the instrument for me. And like, whereas like, if you're a guitar player, there's so many guitar gods to look up to. There's not a ton of piano men. And so like having, listening to Billy Joel play really be piano forward is basically him and Elton John, as a kind of two-hander, they've gotten together a lot, but like, that was kind of a cool thing of like, oh, look at this guy. Like, and I don't want to say I'm a great piano player. I've never have been and never will be, but, it was still like a cool idea of like, oh, you can build a band around a guy who's a piano player. And also, again, I, like you, Matt, I come from a long line of New York Jews. And so, their kind of, hometown New York affection for him also was something that matriculated down as well. Just knowing like, oh, there's something about this guy, this kind of like all American, a little oddball of a guy writing these great tunes. And just always been a part of my life, even if he was a little more of a greatest hits artist for me than say like owning every album.
Yeah. I also have some New York Jews in half my family, so I guess we all have that in common. And
shalom, everyone.
Shalom. Even though Billy Joel went from a New York Jew to a Florida agnostic, I think he still counts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's something about this artist, like the 3 of us got together for the Queen, which was a fantastic episode, and I had mentioned there that Freddie Mercury is probably my favorite singer of all time, and we had a lot of love for Queen. I think the only thing that pushes Billy Joel above Queen for me is he's one of the few bands that my dad and I both enjoyed. My dad had a vast taste in music. It's where I get my taste in music, but mine was even vaster. Like, Dad didn't really dig into the heavy stuffs, hip hop or rock. Like, he liked more mellow stuff, but got really into pop music, which is where my pop love came from. But this was like the first thing I think he ever introduced to me. I forgot to mention before, though it's not on my list, the real reason also that I think I got so close to Billy Joel is because of Oliver and Company. For those who don't know, is a Disney film where Billy Joel was the singing voice of the lead character, and one of the lead characters. And like, I listened to that soundtrack also on loop, and I was like, oh man, Billy Joel is a cartoon dog. Who doesn't love that? So he was kind of everywhere, I feel like, in our youth, because we're all kind of around the same age.
Yeah, I think there's something about, we keep mentioning our dads, like there's something about they're all being boomers and us all being millennials. Like, they kind of had him for present, and then kind of gave him to us for the future. And like, my dad is the opposite of your dad, in that like, my dad has no musical telomeres. Like, most people, they get to a certain age and they're like, well, I kind of have the music I want, and everything new is mostly garbage and I'm not interested. And like, my dad isn't, like, somehow he doesn't have that gene where he's just like, hey, I got the new Kendrick Lamar, you want to hear it? I'm like, you're a 75-year-old balding Jewish man. Like, you're the last person in line to get a Kendrick Lamar album, but for some reason he just keeps up with everything. And so
That's cool.
Like, so something like Billy Joel, like I said, a reason he and my mom could get together on musically, because her music love generally stops at like the 60s, maybe a little into the 70s. Before we kind of get into the list, let me ask you guys how you went about curating it, because I imagine, especially like for you, Matt, I know this is such an emotional thing for you. It must be hard to pick 10 songs to hang your hat on here.
Yeah, my list changed a lot. I have a long list of honorable mentions when we get to them, because I couldn't cram them into the list. Until this morning, there were 11 entries on my list, because my 10 and 11, I couldn't decide. My number one was pretty easy, because it's been my favorite Billy Joel song since the day I heard it. And I have a lot of stories to tell with it when we get to it. But like everything else, it was like, oh, I'll put it. No, actually, I got to move it here. A lot of my choices also had a lot of. So like Queen, I think it's my personal top 10 list. Some of his greats, the thing about Billy Joel also is like, unless you're picking obscure album titles, all of the songs we're probably picking are hits. But that said, I think I'm a little outside of the norm. But like, I think the top two of the top songs you would expect to be on any list are somewhere in my list, just maybe not at number one. But it was definitely an emotional journey for me, tying them to personal experiences, some recent, some not, and kind of curating the list from there, and still not being happy with it when I was done, because I'm like, no, wait. So yeah.
Dylan, how about you?
Well, I think that it's sort of been alluded to in a sense by both of you, but for me, Billy Joel happens to be an artist where a lot of his biggest hits happen to be my favorite songs. That actually connects him a bit with Queen from our prior podcast. I would say that when I think of what makes Billy Joel great, I would say it's that he didn't just release like 4 or 5 great hits, but like 30 great hits, and that's amazing. What I would say perhaps as a criticism is I don't think that he has released as many records where every song is essential. So some of the deep cuts for me don't hit as much as someone who's a fan, but maybe not a mega fan. So, mine is heavy on the hits, but there'll be some that aren't.
Yeah, this was hard for me too. I was changing it as early as this morning. Adjusting things, because I kept looking at it and going like, well, is this song, why this song and not that one? And I would slot it in and go like, that looks good, but I really like that song I just took off the list. And so that made it very hard. Like a lot of them, I felt like, I could put like 4 or 5 of them on the same line in terms of like my attachment to them or their quality or whatever. So that made it very, very difficult. I'm fine with the list I have. I have a lot of honorable mentions. There will be plenty of songs on here that you all know. They're, as you said, Dylan, like they're all hits of greater and lesser degree. And I'm really excited to dig into them. So let's just do it. Matt, you're number 10.
My number 10 is The Longest Time from the album An Innocent Man.
For the longest time. Whoa, for the longest. If you said goodbye to me tonight, there would still be music left to write. What else could I do? I'm so inspired by you. That hasn't happened for the longest time. Once I thought my innocence was gone. Now I know that happiness goes on. That's where you found me when you put your arms around me. I haven't been there for the longest time. Whoa, for the longest time.
This song, like, there's just something really special about it. It's funny, as a kid, like, I didn't know what a cappella was. Not really. Not until I saw rockapella, of course. They taught me everything. But, like, I really didn't, like, to me, it just sounded like a song. It had rhythm, it had beat, it had, verses, chorus, whatever. Like, I really just took it as it was, and it wasn't until much older that I started to pick apart the pieces. There's a section of the song where someone in the, I think it's 3 or 4 people who recorded with Billy for this, but like that goes really low for the longest time. And I would focus on that because my voice can go there, because pretty much my whole life since my voice started to drop, I could not hit the high notes anymore. And so like I would always focus on that. It had something for me, but like I love how it's composed. I love how it's pulled together, and it's unlike anything he ever did after. It's unlike almost any other kind of like pop or rock song that I heard in that era or beyond. It really is kind of a unique thing, unless you dive deep into, you know, a cappella music, then there's tons of stuff like it. But like for mainstream, I didn't really never heard anything like it. And like then as I got older, like I have my co-host on Fun and Games, Jeff Moonen, is a singer and a voice actor. And like when we did karaoke recently, I put it on so the two of us could sing it, and he'd go high and I'd go low, and that like ties it into a more modern memory. But yeah, I think it's one of the coolest Billy Joel songs because it's just such a unique composition of just voices making the music and like snapping and all of that. There's no instruments.
Yeah. That's a very impressive song, and it shows off what a great vocal arranger is, and also what a great singer is. I actually think that of his talents, songwriting, piano playing, and singing, I actually sometimes think that singing is where he's the most underrated. He's an excellent singer, and it's not that people say he's bad, but I just think that sometimes it gets overlooked that he's really good, and he could have fronted somebody else's band if he had wanted to. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this song. I'll reveal it is higher on my list. And this album is notable because most of it, at least, not the entire thing, the whole point of it is to be a throwback. So this is the one that has like Uptown Girl on it, for example. So that's basically a Four Seasons song. This one is very like stuff like the Drifters. Like they're going for these older bands from the 50s and early 60s that, of course, Billy Joel grew up listening to. And it's just a really great exercise in that. There's every once in a while an artist will do something like this. They'll do kind of a throwback thing, but I can't think of one that's better than this because all of them still feel like modern Billy Joel hits, even while he's sort of using these older styles. It's great. So, okay, Dylan, you're number 10.
Okay, from totally different era. My number 10 is the song that was my great obsession, which is "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Hemingway, Eichmann, stranger in a strange land, Dylan, Berlin, Bay of Pigs invasion, Lawrence of Arabia, British Beatlemania, Old Miss, John Glenn, Distant Beats, Patterson, Pope Paul, Malcolm X, British politician, sex, JFK, blown away. What else do I have to say? We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire. No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. But control, Ho Chi Minh, Richard Nixon, back again, moonshot, Woodstock, Watergate, punk rock, Bacon, Reagan, Palestine, terror on the airline, Ayatollahs in Iran, Russians in Afghanistan, Wheel of Fortune, Sally Ride, heavy metal, suicide, foreign debts, homeless vets, AIDS, crack, Bernie gets, hypodermics on the shore, China's under martial law, rock and roll, cola wars, I can't take it anymore. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning.
When I was 8 or 9 years old, when I first heard this song, 9 years old, I guess. My childhood best friend at the time, Aaron Cohen, and I just used to go through just singing every single lyric to that. I actually associated in my mind with a record that McDonald's put out that was like a song about like all the items on the McDonald's menu. They were both like list songs that my friend and I would like memorize. And that's sort of how I remembered We Didn't Start the Fire. So it has wonderful nostalgic memories for me. I learned about history from listening to it. Now
the Rock and Roller Cola Wars.
Rock and Roller Cola Wars. That's correct. That was not listed next to World War II and Vietnam among our big wars. I don't know why. Anyway, so for me, the reason it's 10 and not higher is because as I sort of learn more about his catalog and other stuff, there's other songs that today I would certainly put on above it, but it will always hold a great place in my heart.
Yeah, that song, so I'll reveal that's higher on my list. Stormfront, first of all, my namesake is in it, so holds a special place in my heart. Because it's funny, I don't know how many folks online know, but my actual last name is Storm, born with that last name. Like, it's my actual name. It's Stormageddon's born of some Doctor Who love and other things, but like, so Stormfront, I think, also was just fun to, my last name's in the album title. But yeah, I have a fun story to reveal about why it's higher on my list when we get to it. But yeah, I mean, it's another song, right, that's unlike the rest of his catalog. You know, it's also like not quite hip hop, but it's like it's basically spoken word sung. It's sung spoken through, right, as he's listing these things, and it's just such a unique structure that he never does again. We get an updated kind of version of it. Fall Out Boy, I think it was last year or two or 3 years ago, did like an updated version where they incorporated more modern events, which I thought was a fun thing. Although very weird that it got backlash for not including COVID, which like fine, but like you know, it's just very strict. Right, yeah, exactly. But you know, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's one of those songs that's just kind of a staple of his catalog, and I can't imagine we don't all have it on our list, although Doug may surprise me.
Well, I'm about to, only in that, this was one of those songs that kept going on and off and on and off, because my memory of it was, this was probably the first Billy Joel song that I was really aware of, because, it was a big hit in, 88? Something like that, 89?
89, I think.
Yeah, so I would have been very aware of it. I definitely remember at some point getting a school assignment where we had to write updated verses to cover more recent events. I feel like a lot of people probably got that assignment at some point. Trying to do anything from, let's say, 2015 to now would be impossible. There's not you'd have to have a 5-hour song to do it. And the only reason it got kind of pushed down into my honorable mentions is just because I like the other things on my list a little bit more. Like I said, kept going on and off the list. So it's not, I'm not disagreeing with the pick at all. And as of like list songs, probably the easiest to sing. I've tried to karaoke. It's the end of the world and we know it.
Oh my god, can't do it. Never.
I keep getting closer, but not hitting. I don't know how Michael Stipe does that. Did it in concert. Jesus Christ, I've seen him do it live too. Yeah, but this is a few slower BPMs, so it can be done. A great way to kick things off. So the song that I put in my number 10, which just, like I said, just pushed We Didn't Start the Fire down to 11, is also from Stormfront, and it is the one I referenced earlier, Shameless.
Good one.
I first heard this song. I heard the Garth Brooks version of it, which is excellent. It really suits his style and his voice very, very well. My ex-girlfriend and her family really liked that song, so I heard it a fair number of times back when we were together, decades ago. And that's probably, even though I had heard Stormfront, I'm sure, many times in my youth, for some reason it just never stuck in my memory banks for whatever reason. And so then I kind of found my way back to it, and like, God, when that thing just kind of like really opens up and he just kind of lets his voice go, I'm shameless. It's like screaming it. It's just like, wow, it's like a different gear for Billy Joel. It's I've heard him talk about this, that he writes songs like lyrics vowels first, and then finds words that kind of like map around those vowel sounds because they fit the notes he's writing. And this song definitely feels like it was written that way.
Yeah. Stormfront is an album like that, I think. It's a lot of like hit, like it's raw. It feels like a very raw album. There's a song, another song, several songs from that album on my list because it's one of my favorite albums he's ever made. And I just kind of reconciled with that making my list. I'm like, oh, I should only have like one song from every album, and gave up about halfway through because it's just you can't like kind of arrange your taste that way. But like the songs that we'll talk about later too, like it's just that emphasis, that push, right, of the louder voice, the screaming, the yelling. It was kind of all over the album, and I think it just felt like, especially in his later years, was like, you know, this kind of senior part of his career where he's like, you know, seen and done a lot. You really feel it in that record, and Shameless is definitely one of those tracks. It's just very powerful.
Okay, Matt, number 9.
So my number 9 is The Entertainer from Street Life Serenade.
I am the entertainer, and I know just where I stand. Another serenader, and another long-haired band. Today I am your champion. I may have won your hearts, but I know the game, you forget my name, and I won't be here in another year if I don't stay on the charts. Ooh. I am the entertainer, and I've had to pay my price. Things I did not know at first, I learned by doing twice. But still they come to haunt me, still they want their say. So I've learned to dance with a hand in my pants, let them rub my neck, and I write them a check, and they go their merry way. Ooh. I am the entertainer, been all around the world. I played all kinds of palaces and laid all kinds of girls. I can't remember faces.
This is just like, it's funny, you know, there is another song that is considered his most iconic song, and it's on my list later. But to me, this is his most iconic performance song. It's just the carnival of sound that this song is. It's so bright and so light, you know, while he's singing about being an entertainer, like, you know, the line, I'm the entertainer, just another long-haired band. Like, it's so funny around the time this came out and the kind of musician he was. And like, he was never really considered, I guess, a bad boy, but he did have some songs in an era where he was kind of a little bit considered that, right? And so he was a rock star like anybody else. But I love this song because it is just so, I love his storytelling songs. So many of his songs are a story being told, and this is a favorite. But like I said, I think the thing that I really love about it is just unlike any of his other tracks as far as the kind of carnival sound, like kind of roller coaster of the piano in this and the synth is just like, it just stands out to me in a way that other tracks don't. So yeah, that's my number 9.
Yeah, that it definitely fits into a pantheon of songs about artists about themselves as artists or working people on the road or whatever. And you know, obviously there's another song that Matt is alluding to that's even more famous than that, but I would just say he's in good company with these kinds of things, and that's a great you know, addition to that particular you know, whatever canon of songs.
You know, you said carnival of sound a few times to describe it. I think that's a great way to describe this, especially because, Dylan, you probably know what that instrument is. That is that kind of synthesized. Is it a Moog or what is it?
It's I don't know. It could be. I don't know. It's like an 80s, you know, or like a late 70s, 80s keyboard. I would have to see what year that song came out, but it's you know, it's like a sine wave synthesizer. Yeah,
because when you said that, what it pinged for me is the Disneyland Main Street Electrical Parade. They use, you know, we've all kind of heard that sound, but that electrical sound that runs through this song is used there, and you can almost hear like, you know, Coney Island or something, you know, like when you hear this. But you're right, yeah, it is a storytelling song about being a singer, and something a lot of bands do. But I think this one really does capture that moment of like the late 70s and what it would be like to, you know, be playing places like the Troubadour or whatever. You know, it's it's a great pick. Okay, so that's let's see, Dylan, your number 9.
Yeah, my number 9 is Prelude / Angry Young Man.
working class ties and his radical plans. He refuses to bend, he refuses to crawl, and he's always at home with his back to the wall. And he's proud of his scars and the battles he's lost, and he struggles and bleeds as he hangs on his cross, and he likes to be known as the angry young man. Give a moment or two to the angry young man, with his foot in his mouth and his heart in his hand. He's been stabbed in the back, he's been misunderstood. It's a comfort to know his intentions are good. And he sits in a room with a lock on the door, with his maps and his medals laid out on the floor, and he likes to be known as the angry young man. I believe I've passed the age, consciousness and righteous rage. I found that just surviving was a noble fight. I once believed in causes too. I had my pointless point of view, and life went on.
And I like this. It's sort of it's a split song. It's got the instrumental prelude thing, and then it's got the sung "Angry Young Man." I prefer the instrumental part. I really love that. It's kind of proggy, which he was popular in the prog era. He was certainly not a prog artist, but he also kind of could have been if he'd wanted to. He's that talented, And I really love the instrumental section. It quickly cycles through a few different styles, genres, just beats to it, and I love it. The song itself, "The Angry Young Man," it feels a little more like a trifle compared to the rest of it. But the lyrics, again, they're sort of partly autobiographical, kind of, in that sense, like The Entertainer. I mean, Billy Joel does have like a, notorious temper and a bit of a antisocial personality in some ways. And
who hasn't driven a car into a pool or whatever?
Right, exactly. Yes. So yeah. So to me, it's a split. I like both parts, but my favorite is actually the instrumental suite.
That's a great choice. It's funny. Like every song that's mentioned that's not on my list or in my honorable mentions, I then go, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That one's also really great. I think is just going to be the theme of the afternoon. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think anything can stand up to Prelude, right? It's just such a beautiful piece, and like he has a ton of those pieces in his catalog. He's done some classical music, like piano, straight up piano music. That's gorgeous. That's not going to really show up anywhere on my list, but it's something that I also love in a different way. But yeah, and I feel like "Angry Young Man" is just iconic in a way that a lot of his songs is, right? It's one of those that's just known by title, and but I agree with you. I think Prelude is for sure the better part if we're comparing apples and apples, but for the it's a great song all told with both parts too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one I don't know as well, but it's interesting. As you were describing the fact that you've got this, again, the musical prelude that goes into the Angry Young Man part, and I realized Elton John has the same thing. He has Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding, which opens Yellow Brick Road. And it's the same thing of like, oh, which part do I really want to listen to? And why didn't anyone put a thing in the track so I can skip to the lyric part if I want it? Because I'm like, part of me was like, oh, I should oh, hey, let me show this to my kids. Maybe they'll like it. But I can't get them to sit through like 4.5 minutes of noodling on a piano. But no, like there's something about a guy like Billy Joel who is ambitious enough to say like, I'm going to put something like this on an album. Most, again, the logic and the market usually dictates, no, give me, 3 minutes of radio friendly, whatever. And he's saying, no, like this piece of music needs to be this long and this way. So, yeah. But my number 9 is a more radio friendly 3-minute jam, but it is All for Leyna.
She stood on the tracks, waving her arms, leading me to that third rail shock. Quick as a wink, she changed her mind. She gave me a night, that's all it was. What will it take until I stop kidding myself, wasting my time? Whoa, there's nothing else I
I had Pressure on my list and I had Moving Out on my list, and they kept switching around. I'm like, why don't I just get a song that's basically the two of them put together? And I came to this one a little later, but I enjoy this one. This one's kind of one of his funnier songs, because what he's singing about, of course, is that this girl has dumped him and he just can't get over her, and he's still obsessed with her, and he really just kind of lets that off the leash in this song in a way I like, but I think the chord progressions of it are something I really enjoy. So this is my way of sort of combining three songs I like into one entry.
Yeah, it's also one of those songs, like, and Billy Joel does this in a bunch of songs where it's like it's piano forward, like basically smashing the keys. A thing that as a kid, like, I loved to mimic Billy Joel songs because, like, you could just do, like, I'm pantomiming for our audio listeners, like the hitting the keys, and I'm a lap drummer, I'm a steering wheel drummer. Like, I love the tactility of, like, pantomiming to music, and an air guitarist even, which is the only good way I play guitar at this point. And this song has that, like, kind of intro as the song goes, and which I love too. And it's a lesser talked about song, which, I mean, again, there's just bound to be with his catalog, but still a hit and still a really great song.
Yeah, his smashing the piano is sort of the guy who grew up seeing Little Richard and being like, what is that? I want to do that. And yeah, he definitely has that, was what he spoke of earlier when you mentioned Longest Time or whatever, that influence from that era, late 50s, early 60s. But then this song also, For Leyna, also has cutting edge synth. We had talked about that, with The Entertainer. So he was also very interested in the trends of that era, which, again, that connects a little to the prog, where they were using all sorts of synth in addition to musically ambitious stuff with just guitar, piano, bass, drums.
All right. So let's go up to Matt's number 8 now.
So my number 8 is An Innocent Man from the titular An Innocent Man.
Someone who hurt you, but I'm not above making up for the love you've been denying you could ever feel. I'm not above doing anything to restore your faith if I can. Some people see through the eyes of the old before they ever get a look at the young. I'm only willing to hear you cry because I am an innocent man. I am an innocent man. Oh, yes,
This song holds a lot of special memories. I love this song because I love the kind of beachy intro, the doom, 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 as it, like, picks up. And he, again, like Dylan was talking about before, Billy Joel known for his piano work because he's the piano man. He has that title. He has that song. But, like, his singing in this is great. It's very low key and easy. And then the yell, we're talking about the yelling of an innocent man, and, like, just going, and I'm not even to attempt to recreate it. I'm sure you'll sit in here somewhere. But, like, this song also has a special memory to, like, a really specific time of my life, at late high school, early college. I was working at a McDonald's, as we all do some kind of job like that in our lives. And the job sucked, tends to, working in a fast food place, but I was working with friends, and when we would close the shop and do the cleanup, we could put on music, and I would put on this song, and, like, the verses would be happening, we'd be doing our task, and then as the ramp up to the chorus, like, 3 or 4 of us would just run to the center of the McDonald's and just belt out the chorus and then go back to what we were doing. And, like, it's just such, like, a bright spot attached to this song because it's one of those songs, right? Folks may not remember the verses of the song, but that belty chorus, like, everyone remembers that, right? It's the impact of the song. And so, yeah, this is my number 8.
Yeah, that song is, is we've discussed, is from that whole album, is sort of homage to his youth, and this song definitely is evocative of, Ben E. King, Stand By Me, and just that sort of heartfelt, just wail or whatever, that's just both beautiful and cathartic at the same time. And he, Billy Joel wanted to let you know he could do that too, and he really can. So
Yeah, for me, like kind of the clinching thing. Yes, the vocals are great, but as you mentioned, Matt, there's this bass line that is very evocative of stuff like under the boardwalk, like that kind of sound is threaded through here. But the vocals are a little more almost Ray Charles-y. He goes to that kind of like raspier growl part of his voice to do this, and like just an absolute solid home run of a song. Okay, Dylan's number 8.
Okay, mine is a big hit. Only the Good Die Young.
Oh yeah. Now we're talking.
You might have heard I run with a dangerous crowd. We ain't too pretty, we ain't too proud. We might be laughing a bit too loud, but that never hurt no one. So come on, Virginia, show me a sign. Send up a signal, I'll throw you the line. The stained glass curtain you're hiding behind never lets in the sun. Darling, only the good die young. Whoa, 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 whoa. I tell you, only the good die young. Only the good die young. You got a nice white dress and a party on your confirmation. You got a brand new soul, and a cross of gold. But Virginia, they didn't give you quite enough information. You didn't count on me when you were counting on your rosary. Oh, 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 and they say there's a heaven for those who will wait. And some say it's better, but I say it ain't. I'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints. The sinners are much more fun. You know that only the good die young. Oh, baby, I tell you, only the good die young.
Yeah, this is just a great, it's a great rockin' tune. It's interesting because it's not piano driven at all. It's really guitar is driving it once the singing begins, and there's a killer sax solo. And he's playing keys in it. Obviously, you hear the organ on the choruses and stuff. But it's just this is the kind of song that I just think it threads the needle of being something that everyone can sing along to. It's really catchy. I think it did very well as a single, but also I just think it's just very well crafted musically, such that I think people from like the nerdier side of music can also just really appreciate the songcraft. It's nothing crazy sophisticated or out of this world, but it's just who else has a song like it? It's fantastic. So nothing more to say than just great song.
Yeah, it's one of those poppy songs that like he has a run of these kinds of songs where it's just fun to sing along. It's got a rockin' beat, you kind of move with it, and it's another like he does a lot of songs where if it's not autobiographical, it's narrative and he's the narrator or he's in the story,
Yeah.
And I really love the structure of this song, and like after the first chorus you know where it's headed, right? Because it's not, like you said, it's a very structured kind of typical song. As far as like once you've gone through the first verse chorus, you know where it's going the next few verses and choruses, so you can just jump right in and kind of jam with it. It's very structurally uniform in a way that kind of brings people in, makes it fun to sing along with.
You made a good point about the autobiographical. I mean, it leads into I think what was his real life image, which is he's like this bad boy on a motorcycle is basically trying to get a Catholic girl to sleep with him, and I think that actually was who he was on Long Island in the 60s.
I played this song for my daughter this morning on the way to Sunday school of all places. And but she asked me like, well, what is this song even about? And I had to like catch myself and go like, it's not, I can't tell her what it's really about. It's just, he's trying to, tell her to be a little naughty. Sometimes it's okay. It's that's how I had to phrase it.
Have some fun.
Have some fun before you die. And it is again another like thing where his sense of humor comes out, but this I'll reveal it's higher on my list as well. Like the melodically super catchy, bouncy, very fun, and interestingly not piano forward, as you said. Like he really kind of only comes in that you notice in the bridge, where no one's singing for a minute, and then he gets overshadowed by the sax solo.
Yeah,
so
great sax
but
solo.
It usually an artist who's like, well, if I'm the the piano playing guy. Like, I'm going to be playing piano over this. And he's smart enough to know, like, this composition does not require that. This composition works better with an acoustic guitar doing the heavy lifting. And yeah, just a phenomenal track. Okay, so that leads us to it's my number 8, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna do I'm picking a ballad here, and one I really like, which is "Honesty."
Yeah.
If you search for tenderness, it isn't hard to find. You can have the love you need to live. But if you look for truthfulness, you might just as well be blind. It always seems to be so hard to give. Honesty is such a lonely word. Everyone is so untrue. Honesty is hardly ever heard, and mostly what I need from you. I can always find someone to say they sympathize if I wear my heart out on my sleeve.
The chord progression, especially on the chorus there, is so good. It reminds me of stuff like, I don't know, again, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, or like Life on Mars by David Bowie. Like, there's something very like complex and interesting about the way those chords are built together to carry that really pretty melody. And this is a very, sincere song from him, like the opposite of his like jokey stuff. And I just, every time I heard this, I'm like, oh, this is impressive. This is an impressive piece of like song craftsmanship.
Yeah, I mean, for every song with Billy Joel doing a million things, also getting a straight up piano Billy Joel track is always going to hit like a truck in the best way, because that's, again, he has that title for a reason, and this is one of those songs that really kind of lends to the ballady side of his career that is also just as equally impressive and engaging as the more bright or bombastic stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a big piano ballad person in general. It's just not usually what I gravitate toward, but I can't deny that he's as good as anyone who does them. And so, yeah, great craftsman.
Okay, that covers Honesty. So we're up to Matt's number 7.
So my number 7 is, we're back in like hit territory, some of his best known song. It's Movin' Out, Anthony's song from The Stranger.
Anthony works in the grocery store, saving his pennies for someday. Mama Leone left a note on the door. She said, "Sonny, move out to the country. I've been working too hard to give you a heart attack. You wanna know by now who needs a house out in Hackensack? Is that all you get for your money? And it seems such a waste of time, if that's what it's all about. Mama, if that's moving up, then I'm moving out. I'm moving out.
This is a song I've always loved. It's something that he does in some songs, but this is, I think, one of the most famous ones. It's like the heart attack, Cadillac, like just doing whatever he wants with the words and the wordplay. Talking about this is nouns and verbs that he's doing it with, and these are punch marks in that song that are so memorable. And again, it's that kind of rocky tune. It's very rock and roll. It's very storytelling, which is, like I said, a big through line in a lot of his work. And for me, more recently, it's become a karaoke favorite. A friend of mine, Moises Tavares, who's an incredible writer and journalist, we've been doing karaoke a bunch over the last few years, and it's our go-to song. I put it in the queue, and then the two of us just belt it out. And of course, everyone joins in. And the song also has a thing that, we talked about in some of the Queen songs. It has sound effects. It has it really has a narrative, like the car screeching off or whatever. It's just I love that too. I love when songs kind of feel rooted in reality in that way. It can be considered kind of schmaltzy and cheesy, but I really like it. It adds to the punch of the story that he's telling as the song kind of plays off with the tires screeching.
Yeah, it's a great storytelling song. This is also on my list. I love it. Love that main riff that he sings over. And yeah, the heart attack. I mean, that reminds me a little of like, again, some of the doo-wop that he probably grew up with. Like Blue Moon by the Marcells. Blah 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 blah. Just messing with consonant sounds. And yeah, I think this is a fantastic song, and it's a story song that's not about him. It would seem. It does not seem autobiographical. So, but a good New York story.
Yeah, I love this one a bunch. It's a great tune. I think it's interesting that he closes it out not only with like those sounds, but he goes to this piano riff that's very reminiscent of something like Layla. The end of that, he has that at the end of it. There's a reason that this was the title for the Broadway show that was built around his stuff, which I've seen, which is interesting. It's really more of a dance show set to...
It's a ballet, basically.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a true jukebox musical where the characters, get up and sing these songs. They don't. If you've never seen it, there's a guy, who's just basically the world's best Billy Joel cover player and a band performing these songs while characters dance on stage and stuff. It's but this was the title for that because, as you said, this is a storytelling song, like first and foremost, right? He's telling you about these people, Anthony and Mama Leone and all this, and not himself. Although still sort of captures that idea of, like, we got to get out of this place, right? That I guess I associate more with someone like Springsteen, but like very much this like, there's got to be something more than this working class whatever. And this is a great example of it. So good choice. Okay, so Dylan's number 7.
Okay, my number 7 is The Ballad of Billy the Kid.
From a town known as Wheeling, West Virginia, rode a boy with a 6-gun in his hand, and his daring life of crime made him a legend in his time, east and west of the Rio Grande. Well, he started with a bank in Colorado. In the pocket of his vest, a Colt he hid. And his age and his size took the teller by surprise, and the word spread of Billy the Kid. Well, he never traveled heavy, yes, he always rode alone, and he soon put many older guns to shame.
Which ended the first side of Piano Man, and it's also a story song, mostly about the fictional Billy the Kid, and then the last verse is about Billy Joel the Kid. And this is a song that I loved when I was a little kid. I had my 2 treasured Billy Joel tapes. Well, I had his greatest hits, but then also Stormfront and then Piano Man. And this is on Piano Man. It's got that cinematic vibe to it, including string orchestra. There was a period when I really liked that stuff. I think now I think the strings on a rock song often to be cheesy, but I'm open to it. But sometimes I think of it as a cop out. But anyway, but this song for me, I loved the sort of the cinematic grandeur of it. I liked that the sort of the big hook was actually instrumental. It wasn't vocal. It's a riff, and it does hold a very soft spot in my heart. And I just like that, again, it felt a little different from other stuff. The 70s is filled with very ambitious pop music, so he's not alone in that regard. But in terms of this specific way that he goes about, with the narrative, with the use of the orchestra, but he's still got the pop hooks. I think he really carved out his own niche in a world of, rock musicians getting into something a bit more ambitious.
Yeah, this song always sticks out in my head because of the clopping kind of in the intro.
Yeah.
And again, very cinematic, right? Using the instruments to give this vibe, and you have a clear picture, right, for this story. And he's so good at that.
Yeah, I'll confess I don't know this one, but it sounds like it pairs really well with Frank and Jesse James by Warren Zevon.
Love Warren Zevon.
Wild West
Yeah,
piano.
it's mostly about Billy the Kid, which he says, from a town known as Wheeling, West Virginia, rode a boy with a 6-gun in his hand. And the last verse says, from the town known as Oyster Bay, Long Island, came a boy with a 6-pack in his hand. And it's about wild partying young Billy Joel.
Well, now I got to go. I'm looking forward to pulling that clip then because I want to add this to my catalog.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 7 is a big hit, so everybody's going to know this one. It is You May Be Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Friday night I crashed your party. Saturday I said I'm sorry. Sunday came and trashed me out again. I was only having fun, wasn't hurting anyone, and we all enjoyed the weekend for a change. I was stranded in the combat zone. I walked through Bedford style alone. Even rode my motorcycle in the rain. And you told me not to drive, but I made it home alive. So you said that only proves that I'm insane. You may be right, I may be crazy. Oh, but it just may be a lunatic you're looking for. Turn out the lights, don't try to save me. You may be wrong for all I know, but you may be right.
That one's in my honorable mentions.
Me
It's
too.
a good one.
Yeah, I love this one. I think just the idea of like, you may be right, I may be crazy, but it just may be a lunatic you're looking for. Like to a young weirdo like myself, sounded very appealing.
Basically.
But it's just a great this is another one that has sound effects in it. It opens up with like a screech and like glass shattering, but just a solid guitar riff based song. This is much more of a guitar song than a piano one, but this is where again his vocals really shine through. Also a very Springsteen-y sounding song as well. I get with another saxophone solo to it, but I get super just catchy sing-alongable song, and it's always been one of my favorites of his.
Yeah, this is one that he's got this theatricality, especially in the younger part of his career, and some of it carries over to later. But for sure, there's a theatricality to his music, and this is also in the vein of like his more lighthearted comedy. Like we were talking about, how he weaves a little comedy into his songs, and this very much is a lighthearted song about just like kind of going for it. And I love that hook line. It's just the whole thing is just fun to sing along, and is again a guitar forward song, which he has plenty of, but was definitely not what he was most known for.
This is it is a guitar song. It definitely it's evocative again of like sort of early 60s. Gosh, what is the song that it references? What is that song? It's just a blues progression, but
It sounds like you're singing the line to the Beatles' Birthday.
It is like the Beatles. It is like the Beatles thing. Yeah, it's just, you're right. That's what I'm thinking of. But that's basically the riff in the choruses of that song. And again, it's very much just like an homage to a lot of like early 60s guitar, and then of course the guitar riff at the top of it. It's very cool that a guy who's known for piano, I mean, he can play the guitar too, and he probably wrote those lines himself rather than a studio musician doing it, submitting them. I don't know, but either way, it's cool that that side of him comes out and he can be a guitar rocker too.
Okay. Matt, number 6.
So, speaking to theatricality, here's the one of 3 Stormfront songs on my list, and it's Downeaster Alexa.
Well, I'm on the Downeaster Alexa, and I'm cruising through Block Island Sound. I have charted a course to the vineyard, but tonight I am Nantucket bound. We took on diesel back in Montauk yesterday. Left this morning from the Bell and Gardner's Bay. Like all the locals here, I've had to sell my home. Too proud to leave, I worked my fingers to the bone so I could own my Downeaster Alexa. And I go where the ocean is deep. There are giants out there in the canyons, and a good captain can fall asleep. I got bills to pay and children who need clothes. I know there's fish out there, but where God only knows. They say these waters aren't what they used to be, but I got people back on land who count on me. So if you see my Downeaster,
Like, I love percussion. I said I'm a lap drummer, I'm a steering wheel drummer, but like just the volume, the bass, the power of this song. And it's another storytelling song, right? About fishermen, about working hard. He's done tons of those songs, made a career out of those kinds of songs. But there was something about the song, like you hear this song, and as soon as it starts and the whales start and the long like notes and all of that, you picture the boat, you picture the darkness, you feel the rocking of the ship. And that's a thing I think Billy Joel does a lot better than a lot of other artists. It's just this kind of theatricality, this being able to envision the scene. And I love this one. I love how it rocks. I love how the vocals are set up. And like, again, we were talking about earlier on Stormfront does those high notes or those long notes, those dramatic pulls that like extending his vocals that really just have a punch. And this song for sure has that.
Yeah, this song really connects him, I think, to the people that he lived around in Long Island. I mean, it's a song about, very blue-collar working fishermen dealing with dangerous conditions. It's on the Stormfront album or whatever. And here's Billy Joel already at this point, extremely wealthy man living in a, giant mansion on the North Shore of Long Island. But he has a very still like blue collar affect. It is what he came from. And I think that he did have a connection with regular working people. So he could be like a, pop star living the life of luxury who, famously would get a chartered helicopter directly to, Madison Square Garden to perform, but also be one of the people in a sense. And it's definitely almost, an homage, love letter, whatever, to the people that he lived around.
Yeah, I love this one. This one is one that has went on and off my list a bunch. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to keep it on there or not. I do love this. It ended up not making the cut, but it is one of my favorites of his, and probably contributes to my weird love of like sea shanties, because that's what this basically is.
Sure.
This is a sea shanty. Also, probably in the running for one of the weirdest song titles ever, which is the name of his boat. Alexa is his daughter. That's what it's named after. But Downeaster.
Born right at the same time.
Yeah, putting those two together. But yeah, like it's kind of this epic, very, as you said, kind of fictionalized storytelling song, because he himself as a character is not really in the song. This is a song written for others who have these dangerous seafaring jobs. But just the melody just is very just like that, like all of that stuff is very theatrical, and it works. Okay, Dylan, number 6.
So mine is Movin' Out, Anthony's song. We've already talked about that. So the only thing I will add is that I think it's a great opener to an album. It's the first song on The Stranger, which is my favorite Billy Joel album, and I think it's a really cool way to start the record. Again, a guitar riff song. You open up with that great riff, and that's where we began. And kicks off, in my opinion, the best album of his career. And great opening track. That's all I'll add.
Okay. Then that takes us to my number 6, and it is She's Always a Woman.
She can kill with a smile, she can wound with her eyes, and she can ruin your faith with her casual lies. And she only reveals what she wants you to see. She hides like a child, but she's always a woman to me. She can lead you to love, she can take you or leave you. She can ask for the truth, but she'll never believe. And she'll take what you give her as long as it's free. Yeah, she steals like a thief, but she's always a woman to me. Oh, she takes care of herself. She can wait if she wants. She's ahead of her time. Oh, and she never gives out. And she never gives in. She just changes her mind. And she'll promise you more than the Garden of Eden.
This is just another great ballad from him, but I think the lyrics are much more interesting and complex because he's not just singing about, hey, I love this nice lady. It's like, hey, I love this lady who's may not actually be very nice. You know, like a lot of the things he says about her are not complimentary. And so it's a much more complex thought of a song while built around like a very just like pitch perfect melody. That just every time I hear it, I'm like, this is really impressive because it kind of tricks you almost as he's singing, because you're just like, oh, she can kill with a smile, da da da. But then he starts saying these like things are like, oh, she can be awful as well. But she's always a woman to me. I'm like, you know, this is a more adult set of feelings for a person and their flaws. So yeah, I've always found this one compelling.
Yeah, this one has a kind of Beatlesy sound too, like the way he sings it and the rocking to it. Like it does have that kind of like mid-career Beatles vibe that I really love too. Which of course I wouldn't be shocked if was an influence on him, especially in certain areas. But yeah, this one, it's a song that sounds more romantic than it is, and it still can be romantic. But like I like the kind of trick you can pull with a piano ballad or like a lighter song and still make it more complicated and add more dimension than it just being a generic romance song. And yet so many people probably still use this as a wedding song, which absolutely would work for that too, but is like there's more to it than just that.
Yeah. I really like the B section, you know, where it goes up. That's my favorite part of this song. I don't love this song, to be honest with you. It is a little evocative of the Beatles, but probably my least favorite type of Beatles song, honestly. And I think, sure. You know, I don't know, just the phrase, she's always a woman. It feels dated to me. But the talent, undeniable, really, really great vocal performance on this, you know, on that B section.
Okay. So we're up to number 5, Matt.
You alluded to this track earlier, and now we're getting to like the heavy like favorites. Like I really like was pulling my hair apart trying to lock in the bottom 5, and so this is Pressure.
You have to learn to pace yourself. Pressure, you're just like everybody else. Pressure, you've only had to run so far, so good. But you will come to a place where the only thing you feel are loaded guns in your face, and you'll have to deal with pressure.
I felt a lot of pressure making this list. Pressure from the Nylon Curtain. This video, so I first I think heard the song later, but I saw the music video, and the video is so evocative. And it's kind of him in his like big hair rock and roll era. You know, it we've talked about it before, kind of lends to that kind of Little Richie kind of vibe that he loved, like this just kind of like rock and roll piano playing. But this song also, like, I just love when Billy digs into the aggression and like the way he like the way he performs it. It's just again very theatrical, and you know, again, a great song to pantomime the heavy piano. It's just it's a rock and roll song in a different way, and like it's just a very evocative and powerful song. And so yeah, I really love this one.
I love this song also. It's definitely a nostalgic favorite of mine. My thought was always that sort of synth riff on the chorus. It sounds like the soundtrack to an 8-bit video game to me. You both know
totally
more about games than I do, and I don't know which game specifically you have in mind, but I it's just a cool little theme. I could definitely imagine like a, you know, whatever, just like a quest style video game.
I was going to say it's a little Castlevania.
I was
thinking the same thing.
I was thinking that too. The Castlevania is definitely my favorite video game music ever. That first Castlevania game. So yeah, maybe it is that there is something a little bit of like you're in Dracula's castle with this music.
It's a haunting song.
Yeah.
It's the minor key. It's the almost like Psycho-esque, just like that.
There's some Psycho.
Because
Psycho,
then
definitely.
after that,
Bernard Herrmann.
it settles in though, because it's like as soon as he hits you with this like dun 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 Phantom of the Opera shit, then it goes like you da 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 da, like, and all of a sudden it mellows out for a bit there, and then then he screams at you, you can't handle pressure, and then it comes back in. It's a really dynamic song. You know, it's constantly kind of changing up the feel, and it does almost like put you ill at ease the way it keeps doing that. It's almost a little bit of like a bipolar song, and that's kind of what it's about, right? It's just singing about feeling under the gun. So yeah, very cool song. This is when I listened to. I remember having these like, in particular, I don't know, was it a single cassette or like 2 best ofs or something, but this was one that was like right in the middle. I'm like, oh, it's this one again. I would like rewind it and listen because I really like this one. Okay, so then my number 5 is Only the Good Die Young, which you already talked about. So we'll move on to Matt and your number 4.
I think also
we skipped.
Or did we skip you? I'm sorry.
Because you're going to hate mine, Doug. You knew it was coming, so you skipped it.
No, what is it?
Mine is Captain Jack.
Oh, I don't hate that.
Your sister's gone out, she's on a date, and you just sit at home and masturbate. Your phone is gonna ring soon, but you just can't wait for that call. So you stand on the corner in your new English clothes, and you look so polished from your hair down to your toes. Oh, but still your fingers gonna pick your nose after all. Yeah. But Captain Jack will get you high tonight and take you to your special island. Captain Jack will get you by tonight. Just a little push, you'll be smiling. Oh, yeah.
No, Captain Jack, last song on Piano Man, again, very formative record for me. And another story of, seems like, you know, Long Island youth, only this one is a drug addict. There's you know, there's just something, you know, this soaring, hopeful chorus, which is about heroin, is, you know, it's just funny the way that the two, you know, just the dichotomy of the uplifting melody and what he's actually singing about. And yeah, this song really, I don't know, it's pretty cool how it manipulates you.
Yeah, another great story, narrative song where he's telling a story, and it's definitely up there as like one of those Long Island songs that kind of ties him to that area. You know, it's very much that kind of a song.
Yeah.
And again, speaking of dynamism, right? Because the verses to that song are, again, a little slower, a little softer until he launches into "But Captain Jack will get." Also, one of the rare songs to have the word "masturbate" in it, which
Yes,
probably the first.
Not a common used word in music. Right?
No, you don't hear it in a lot of songwriting. But
Billy Joel and Billy Joe both wrote songs about masturbating.
That's true. Long view.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the things I like about, not the word masturbate, but the dynamism part. It's that how he goes like, you sit at home, you're on a date, like all of that stuff is very slow, and then all of a sudden, boom, it hits you. It's like a guitar riff comes in for the chorus.
Yeah, it's a great guitar riff on that chorus.
Yeah, great choice. Okay, so then, so as I said, number 5 was Only the Good Die Young. So now we're on to Matt and his number 4.
So my number 4 is my second choice from Stormfront. A song that I think I just I put myself in often. It's "I Go to Extremes."
Call me a joker, call me a fool. Right at this moment, I'm totally cool. Clear as a crystal, sharp as a knife. I feel like I'm in the prime of my life. Sometimes it feels like I'm going too fast. I don't know how long this feeling will last. Maybe it's only tonight. Darling, I don't know why I go to extremes. Too high or too low, there ain't no in-betweens. And if I stand or I fall, it's all or nothing at all. Darling, I don't know why I go to extremes.
Talk about piano song. I love the breakdown in this song. Just again, this is one of those songs yelling, belting songs that you can get wrapped up in. But then that whole piano breakdown in the middle, all of the piano playing, I love that this is both a rock and roll song showing off guitar and all the other stuff, but also is a killer piano track. That I don't feel like I hear as many people talk about. I mean, he's got so many hits, but I just love this one. And 4 to 1 are the songs that are the deepest in my heart. The songs that I think I knew first on the list, though I wasn't always sure the order. But again, I love this point in his career. I love this album and just this not aggression, but this energy, this power that's behind a lot of the songs on this record. And this is definitely one of my favorites.
I agree with you, Matt, so much to the point that I've made it my number 4 as well.
Let's go. Love when that happens.
Yeah. So this is my personal favorite song from Stormfront, and it's honestly probably my favorite song of his post. Gosh, I don't know. Post 1982 or what. I don't know. But the point is, it's my favorite of his later period, which of course is now over 30 years ago, but because he just stopped putting out records, but anyway, I mean the chorus is insanely catchy in my opinion. This is a track where he's watch me play piano, I'm fantastic at this. And the solo actually kind of does sound like Little Richard, but superimposed on this, synth-driven, main riff, and it feels very 80s with a giant booming, echoey drum sound. Some people like that, some people hate that, but it's like that. And then here's a Little Richard piano solo on top of it. So, really, really great song. I love this song.
Yeah, it's funny. This song is kind of the opposite of the ones we were just talking about, because you're talking about how dynamic they are in terms of, softer parts, louder parts. This is an all-out assault, right? This is just, we're just going to go from the beginning of this song, and he never lets his foot off the gas through the entire thing. And it is it is impressive that way, where you're just all of a sudden, he's kind of building, and you think you can't build anymore. And then he kind of goes, he takes the pitch up, all of a sudden in the middle of the chorus, because he's I go to extremes, and then he goes da 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 da. he goes way up there. You're like, oh, it's getting more into, we're upping up the tension, and then just explodes. And like, he kind of leaves it all on the table. It's a really, really just cool. I can't think of anything else like it in his catalog.
Yeah, it's all rise, basically. It's just all up from the minute it starts.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, my number 4, they don't get any bigger than this. And this is a little like when we did the Queen thing, where it was sort of like, oh, well, I think, Matt, you had Bohemian Rhapsody as your number 4, and Dylan and I both had it at number 1. I'm kind of going to do the same thing. So my number 4 is Piano Man.
It's a pretty good crowd for a Saturday, and the manager gives me a smile, 'cause he knows that it's me they've been coming to see, to forget about life for a while. And the piano sounds like a carnival, and the microphone smells like a beer, and they sit at the bar and put bread in my jar and say, man, what are you doing here? Oh, la la la, di-di-da. La la, di-di-da, da-da. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you got us feeling all right.
I couldn't leave it off the list. It's too important a song, both in his catalog and for me personally. This is probably the first song. I had heard a lot of his songs, but this is the one I fell in love with. I listened to the most times over and over again. It's when I learned how to play on the piano. And I still like have that pretty memorized. I don't have to look at music or chords or anything. It's all just still there from doing it so many times. And the only reason I don't have it at number 1 is just because I've heard it so many times that it's kind of started to like lose, it's no matter how good a song is, if you hear it enough times, it starts to lose a little something. But as my brother-in-law, Kyle, would say, who's been on this podcast many times, this is the spaceship song. This is, Earth is the ship is leaving Earth. You can only put one Billy Joel song on the spaceship. It probably has to be this one.
Yeah, it's funny. This is Kismet, my number 3. As we move on to that, is Piano Man. This is a song that would be from Piano Man, in case folks don't know.
It'd be weird if it wasn't.
Right? But yeah, this is one of those songs that I would assume would be most people's number 1 for Billy Joel. It's clearly considered his number 1 song, right? Like the song he's known for. But for me, like, it's definitely important. But my number 2 and number 1 are songs that are important to me personally and still considered some of his best. But Piano Man, you can't deny, like, it's the song about his start. It's the song that put him on the map, basically. And anyone, like, this is the stranger song in the sense that you meet a stranger on the street and you say, hey, are you familiar with Billy Joel? Oh, sort of. Well, name one song, Piano Man, right? Like, everyone knows this song. It's that kind of hit that's tied to a person that he has shared in many interviews. He is kind of haunted by, like, he had to like kind of revisit his relationship with the song. He didn't play it on tours for many years and then kind of came back to it, like, because it's that one song he's known for. He struggled with that identity because he doesn't even consider it, I think, one of his best songs. It's a song that's important to his career and his life. And I always loved that. I also think, though, if you're known for a hit, you play the hit, right? You're playing for your fans as much as yourself. But I totally get getting bored with something and wanting to, and that's why he's done reinventions of it, or puts it in melodies, or played it in different ways, or turned it into a guitar track. Like, he's reinvented this song so many times. But it's undeniable that it is one of the most important songs in kind of rock music, and for sure in his catalog, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think if you were, for me, you both have alluded to it. If it were a list of the most important Billy Joel songs, I can't imagine this not being number 1. It is, it is his calling card. For me, it was a list of my favorites. It's actually not on the list for me personally, because I don't. I've heard it, many, many times. I've played it many, many times. I'm just kind of, yeah, it's not my favorite. But I do like some cool things about the song structure. The choruses don't always come when you think they're going to. He does a lot of runs of verses in a row. But I will share the one tidbit about this song that I think is a cool little piece of trivia, which is, Billy Joel is an iconic New York artist, Long Island, sort of New York City. Has lived in Florida for a long time, but they don't mention that. But this is a L.A. song. He did live in L.A. early in his career. This Piano Man is his second album. He released an album, then he was living in L.A. trying to make it in the business. And he played at a bar on Wilshire Boulevard, right by Wilton Place, called the Executive Room. And that is where Piano Man is set. And he was, he had a weekly gig, I think, where he was there. And the Executive Room is no more. It was torn down, and there is now a 2-story strip mall. I live very close to it, and my 1-year-old goes to a toddler gym that is in that place. It also features a fried chicken restaurant and a coffee place or whatever. So that is the story. Billy Joel, iconic New Yorker. That song is actually an LA song.
Well, I will just throw out to you guys one question. What the fuck is a real estate novelist?
That's a good question. I think it probably was a little subgenre. We'd have to look at that.
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I assumed it was like this guy's a real estate agent who's trying to write, one of these days I'm
I mean,
gonna write
that's
a
what-
novel, but...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think it's like he is a real estate agent, wants to be a novelist, and so kind of
maybe that makes
mush them together.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have time for a wife, so clearly he doesn't have time to write a book.
That's true.
All right. So yeah, we're up
so that was Matt's 3.
So we're up to your 3.
My number 3 is also a title track. It is The Stranger.
We all fall in love, but we disregard the danger. Though we share so many secrets, there are some we never tell. Why were you so surprised that you never saw the stranger? Did you ever let your lover see the stranger in yourself? Don't be afraid to try again. Everyone goes south every now and then. Ooh, you've done it. Why can't someone else? You should know by now. You've been there yourself. Once I used to believe I was such a great romancer that I came home to a woman that I could not.
Yeah, I love this song. We had talked earlier about how like Pressure sort of has 2 sides to it, sort of a, tense claustrophobic side and then a smoother side. And The Stranger is like that too. There's a very, the chorus itself has a real sinister element to it, and just sort of a guy who he's kind of winking at you. He's like, he's like the devil on your shoulder, basically. And then the verse section, the bridge section, whatever you want to call it, is it's perhaps the angel on your shoulder or whatever, which is like, don't be afraid to try again. You can, relationships are weird or whatever. I just really love the main riff to it. And it just, the song, it's a great combo of being catchy yet sinister, and I really enjoy it.
The piano intro is probably one of my favorite piano intros.
With the
in
whistling,
anything.
yeah.
Just it's so haunting and beautiful at the same time. This is probably, it's funny, The Stranger's your favorite. It's my second favorite album, hands down. Like I love Stormfront. I think because I became aware of Billy Joel when that album was released, though I don't remember the release. But The Stranger is one of the first ones I went back to and was like, oh, this is just hit after hit. Every song on here just punches and like in different ways. And yeah, the whole intro and the way this song builds, yeah, it's a classic for sure. It's in my honorable mentions. I just couldn't figure out where to stick it on the list. And eventually it's just like, I guess it's not on the list. But yeah, absolutely a favorite of mine too. It's a great track.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because the verses kind of seem to hog the spotlight in a way, because that I don't know if it's the chorus or the bridge you're talking about when it goes like
the B section. I call that.
But yeah, that softer, almost has almost not a disco beat to it, but like it really like the verses are so kind of aggressive. Just bum bum ba da da dum bum bum ba 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 da ba. So when it really like kind of mellows out for that part, it almost feels like I wonder if he like had a bunch of different ideas for like what musically could fit in there. And like the idea to hit on this, it doesn't feel like a first draft idea, you know, like it's really interesting sounding. Okay, so then it takes me to my number 3. This is one that I just think is really just an impressive piece of songwriting. It shows off a lot of his jazz chops and knowledge. And this is one you're going to like, Matt. It is New York State of Mind.
It was so easy living day by day. Out of touch with the rhythm and blues. But now I need a little give and take. The New York Times, the Daily News. Whoa. It comes down to reality. It's fine with me, 'cause I bet it's life. I don't care if it's Chinatown or on Riverside. I don't have any reason. I left them all behind. I'm in a New York state of mind.
It's a good one. That one's, it's funny. It didn't make my list, but I mean, it's a classic track.
Yeah, I think it's an impressive melody. And I think because he's infused all this jazz stuff into it, I always feel transported there. Like, and again, I am not a New Yorker by birth, but by ancestry, like it's all New Yorkers all the way back. So I have still have kind of a personal affinity for the Big Apple. And I remember, I think this was one of those songs that got trotted out shortly after 9/11 for like, unity, kind of stuff. Like, oh, we're all in a New York state of mind. And it's just, every time I hear it, I'm like, man, the musical just brilliance to be able to write something that sounds like this. Like, there's a lot of great composers and artists and rock stars and stuff, but this is a level of complexity that's just a little bit of a cut above that not everybody could do.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like he wrote this to be a New York anthem. And like, of course, who knows, right? You never know. You could write any anthem you want, but if people don't pick it up, it doesn't matter. But it became one. It absolutely did. Like, he knows what he's doing. There's a confidence in this song, I think, that you can't fake, that you just have to go for. And yeah, it's a classic track and an excellent one.
Yeah, this song really reminds me of Ray Charles.
Oh, yeah.
George on My Mind. The piano playing is very similar. I'd say it's bluesy with some jazz inflections. He also very, the word state in it is also important because he is talking partly about New York State. He talks about a Greyhound on the Hudson River line sort of leaving the city, but he also has other references to the city itself, to Chinatown on Riverside, as in like Riverside Drive. So, it's an homage to the whole state. It also is a period when he came back from living in L.A. and he didn't have really the success that he wanted to, even though he recorded his biggest hit, Piano Man in L.A. It really hit when he was, a New Yorker once again. So yeah, this to me though definitely very evocative of George on My Mind, Ray Charles, and just that. Yeah, clearly a hero of Billy Joel's, undoubtedly.
Oh yeah.
I love that fact that you point out that it's about the whole state. Like, as someone who grew up in Staten Island, it's like we are often forgotten when talking about New York, and also New York as a pop culture center. It's the city. People are talking about New York City. They're not talking about anywhere else most of the time. And so this is one of those songs that kind of reminds you, like, there's more to New York than just Manhattan.
Yeah.
And there's so much here. And him being from Long Island is a similar thing, right? Like, Long Island and Staten Island are often not remembered when talking about the boroughs or the impact of the state in a way, right? It's often like Brooklyn and Manhattan. And so, yeah, I love that too.
Yep.
Okay. Matt, you're number 2.
So number one and number two could have gone either, like number two and number three rather could have gone either way. Number one was my number one, like I said from the beginning, but number two is a song from an album. It's the first time I was aware of one of my favorite artists putting out a new record. Like I said, when Stormfront came out, I was really young, 4 or 5, and so like it came out while I was conscious of his music, but I didn't really connect it. But in the early 90s, when River of Dreams came out, I was not inexplicably, I was excited in a way that I don't think any other little kid is excited about Billy Joel. Like I didn't think it was possible. Like my favorite artist, who's been putting out albums for ages, is putting out a new record, and I get to hear it. And when the single River of Dreams came out from that said album, like I was obsessed with it.
In the middle of the night, I go walking in my sleep from the mountains of fame to the river so deep. I must be looking for something sacred I lost. But the river is wide and it's too hard to cross. Even though I know the river is wide, I walk down every evening and stand on the shore. I try to cross to the opposite side so I can finally find what I've been looking for. In the middle of the night, I go walking in my sleep through the valley of fear to a river so deep. I've been searching for something taken out of my soul, something I'd never lose, something somebody stole. I don't know why I go walking at night, but now I'm tired and I don't want to walk anymore. Hope it doesn't take the rest of my life until I find what it is I've been looking for. In the middle of the night, I go walking in my sleep through the jungle of doubt to the river.
I played it on loop. I listened to it constantly. Probably still my most listened to Billy Joel album, just from the fact that I spent so much time listening to it, right? Because I couldn't believe someone I cared about so deeply and music I loved so much was putting out something new, and I could be excited about it with my dad because, like, while I was listening to some punk rock and pop and metal, this was that one thing, like, oh, like, can you believe it? Billy Joel's got a new album. And so, and then the song is just, again, it's got that, it's the percussion, right? I talk a lot about percussion and stuff, like the do 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 do, like, and like not a typical percussion in one of his songs. It's kind of a little all over the place, and like this, the chanting and the melodic singing, all of it. It's just like a vibe that was kind of new to his music. He had done something similar, but this just felt very different for Billy Joel, and yet I became obsessed with it. And so, because of how important that album was to me and that single, that's why it's so high on my list. It was a bonding moment for me and my dad. And it was just, again, being conscious of a new record from an artist who's been around forever, and I never knew if I was going to get another new record was like huge to me. And so that pushes this, a song that I don't think is considered one of his best, but it is to me because of how much it landed with me.
Yeah, there is that. I know the feeling of, like, you know, this artist already put out a bunch of records, but it's either before my lifetime or before my consciousness, at least. And then it's like, oh, wow, I'm already a fan from Stormfront, and now there's a new album, and what a cool experience. So, yeah, I felt that with so many artists, including some that still put out albums today. It's like, you know, Bob Dylan still puts out albums, you know, or whatever. It's still around. For me, this song is sort of in that Innocent Man vein of, like, this sounds like something that, you know, this could have come out and it's not literally, but the reference points are early 60s. You know, this reminds me of The Lion Sleeps Tonight by the Tokens. He's not literally doing homage to it, but so many elements of it really remind me of that early 60s doo-wop, early rock and roll. And it's incredible hooky earworm, and yeah.
Yeah, I had the same experience. Obviously, you know, being aware of Billy Joel, then knowing, oh, there's a new album coming out, not realizing this is basically his last album. But this is a gospel song. You know, I mean, first and foremost, which, like, again, he's able to kind of be a chameleon a little bit musically, and it's very catchy. It's like remember, this is coming out in what, 93, something like that.
93.
Yeah. Think of what else is on the radio in 1993, right? This is going up against like Nirvana. You know, very interesting that he didn't change his sound to be like, well, I got to sound more like those guys from Pearl Jam. He's sticking to who he is musically, and even going older. But like, I remember this being right up there on the radio, hearing it a bunch because it's so freaking catchy. Like it's, it's a very solid melody. And like, just like with any good gospel song, it really kind of wants you to stand up and clap.
I mean that whole bridge where it's like I go walking in the middle of, and like it's just like most of the instruments cut out and it's the chanting along. Like it's just so hooky, it just pulls you right in.
Yeah. All right. So then we're up to Dylan's number 2.
My number 2 is about a place that's a little less glamorous in New York. It's Allentown.
Yeah.
Well, we're living here in Allentown, and they're closing all the factories down. Out in Bethlehem, they're killing time, filling our forms, standing in line. Well, our fathers fought the Second World War, spent their weekends on the Jersey Shore. Met our mothers in the USO.
Allentown is, great working class factory song, very catchy to me. Yeah, I just remember hearing this on his greatest hits album, and this one just really jumping out to me. And here we are, all these years later. It's my number 2 Billy Joel song. I knew some people from Allentown who were quick to point out to people. They always wanted to let people know that really what he's describing is Bethlehem, not Allentown, which I guess was more hard scrabble factory town, and that Allentown they thought they were doing a little better, but that he couldn't rhyme.
I was about to say it's a lot harder.
So Allentown was a lot better. So, but either way, he's this to me would mention some connections to Springsteen. This reminds me of the Springsteen song that's literally called Factory. So that's, that's what it reminds me of. I don't think that Billy Joel himself connected with Springsteen the way that he connected with like Elton John, who he toured with constantly. But there's a real connection there, and I just love this song and always will.
This is one of those songs that it's on my honorable mentions. It has that impact he puts into it, like during the chorus, the ooh, shh, ooh, like that vocalization.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that kind of vocalization.
It's like
in songs.
men working on a chain gang and from his youth.
Right. And it hits you, it pulls you right in, but even the clanking in the background, like again, theatrical, right?
Yeah.
It's why songs like this stand out to me. And again, another one of those working songs that like it can't help but bring you to that place. And this one is definitely one of those for sure.
Yep. On my honorable mentions for all the reasons you said. I think, Dylan, we're gonna have to put together a Springsteen cast one of these days.
Oh, please.
Yeah. But there's also like, he does, even though the song is very like percussive, like, right, it's like he's got like literal like machine factory kind of noises. Not only is he making them, but you have literal just in the mix. But he also like, he has those parts where instead of like putting in a bunch of words, he'll have like a note that he holds and goes up and down over a scale. And it's getting very hard to stay. And like, that's an interesting choice in and of itself. Like, he's still doing these musical flourishes over a song that's fairly just a 4/4, just stomping affair musically. Like he doesn't, he never stops putting in that kind of care into the way he puts melodies and words together. Like, it's just, a great track. All right, so to my number 2, this is my wife's number 1 with a bullet. Her favorite Billy Joel song, and so one I've come to have a lot of love and affection for, and then get another place name, Vienna.
Slow down, you crazy child, and take the phone off the hook and disappear for a while. It's all right, you can't afford to lose a day or two. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? that you can get what you want, or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. Ooh, why don't you realize Vienna waits for you? When will you realize Vienna waits for you?
Good God, man. I've played this one on the piano a bunch as well. Like, what a great set of chords this thing transforms through. But just this is one of those like, hey, it's going to be all right kind of songs, you know, like, don't worry. But just, I don't know what more I can say about it. Just that it's just beautiful. Like it's, I've heard it covered a few times, and it's like, even people who tend to cover the song tend to mostly karaoke it. You know, they don't change much in the way it's put, you know, the production. It's still mostly just a vocalist and a piano, because it's kind of just perfect the way it is. Like there's kind of nowhere to go but down if you were to try and cover it. So yeah, I just huge appreciation for this song.
This is the song of his that I actually think is the most similar to, like, it could have been written by Elton John. It maybe not the lyrics, because I don't think Bernie Taupin would write those lyrics, but certainly like the melody and the piano parts. And yeah, I mentioned earlier, me personally, I'm not a huge piano ballad person, but I think this is probably his best one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of his most gorgeous songs. And like, it's, again, Billy Joel can do some of the most complex and interesting things, and it's a huge hit, but he can also do one of the most stripped down, beautifully gorgeous kind of just space pieces, you know, just this piece of like that just takes up a room, and it's just an enrapturing. Like, he can do both and do them well. He doesn't have to do one or the other.
Yeah, my kids love this one as well. Actually, they've heard this one. Like, this is by far their favorite Billy Joel song. I've tried showing them other stuff, but for some, maybe it's because my wife likes it so much, they're like, because they're just of the mindset now that like mom's music is good and dad's music is not, regardless of what it is. so I was like, if my wife was like, this is a really good song, they're gonna be like, I love this song, and if I'm like, it's my turn to pick a song, they're like, ah. Like, okay.
I'd rather have that deal if you get to by the time they're teenagers than your music's cool. I just want my kid to like my music when he's a teenager.
That's fair, actually. Yeah, there's plenty of time for them to evolve into stuff. But yeah. All right, so now it's time for honorable mentions before we get to number ones. Matt, kick things off.
Sure. So we've mentioned a few already. The Only Good Die Young, The Stranger, Allentown, You May Be Right. But then there's a few that we haven't mentioned. Good Night, Saigon, probably another one of his most famous kind of ballady tracks. And All About Soul off of Stormfront as well is just another gospel-y kind of punchy song on that record. That's really beautiful. And then going back to the doo-wop stuff, Tell Her About It. Like, I love that video. I love that song. It's just the snapping fingers along. Like, and then the one that was number 11 on my list until I had to bite the bullet and pull it off was My Life. My Life is one of those songs that, like, it's just, I don't know, there's something about it I can't even explain. It's just, it's another storytelling song. It's another like talking about him and his experience, and it feels very rebellious to me, right? Like, it's my life, like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. A track that struggled to fit on the list, but just fell off at the last minute.
And also because you're a lifelong fan of Bosom Buddies as well.
Right, as well. Well, and it's so funny, like, I knew the song before I knew Bosom Buddies, a show that now I'm curious if holds up. I imagine it doesn't,
No.
but I imagine it doesn't, but like, still, like, I remember seeing it on TV and like hearing, oh, it's Billy Joel. And then there's the famous story about Paul Rudd and the spoof that he does, and they wrote Billy Joel into doing the song for a parody of Bosom Buddies that he did with Adam Scott, which is just very funny also. A great track.
Yeah, I'm just, for our younger listeners who have no idea what we're talking about, Bosom Buddies was a sitcom, I think in like 1980, starring Tom Hanks, is like his first big thing, and Peter Scolari, and I believe the whole point is they have to dress up as women to I forget why they have to put on this disguise as women, but that was the whole thing. Was just, isn't it funny? Two dudes in a dress
That were dressed as women.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more that I think about it, the more that I'm pretty confident it does not.
That is true of so many 80s comedies. I'm sorry to say. You go back to so many of them. It's like the joke pacing is terrible. The jokes are like so much like the joke is bigotry, basically, and like it's just yeah. I actually think comedy got a lot sharper in the 90s. I really do.
I'm sure someone's going like, but Shakespeare did it. I'm like, well, he's a lot fucking smarter than you.
Yeah,
So,
that was much
true.
more clever. Much more clever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Dylan, your honorable mentions.
My honorable mentions. The ones that I struggled with not keeping on were Pressure, You May Be Right, and Tell Her About It. The ones that were honorable mentions, I was like, no, these are just honorable mentions. Big Shot, My Life, these were just mentioned. While the Night is Still Young, and Get It Right the First Time, which is more of a deep cut from The Stranger.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, that one from The Stranger, I feel like I swore in my brain that was like a big hit like the other songs, and it's not a good song, but it just wasn't. It was a lesser known song off that record.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let me run through these. A lot of these have already been said on my honorable mentions list, but We Didn't Start the Fire. Lullaby from River of Dreams. I love that one. Pressure, Don't Ask Me Why, Allentown, Downeaster Alexa, Leningrad, Uptown Girl, Moving Out, and It's Still Rock and Roll to Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, It's Still Rock and Roll to Me and Uptown Girl. Also songs that on anyone else's top 10 would be probably high up. Also, like songs he's known for. It's like, I think we could make a list of just songs he's known for, like his most popular songs, and still have a great top 10 list.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll jump into my number one now, that we're through the honorable mentions. So this is one we've talked about before. We Didn't Start the Fire from Stormfront it's my favorite song. It's one of the first songs I heard by him. It's a song, like, it was funny. We were talking about how Piano Man can kind of get overplayed because I've heard it a million times. And this song is like the opposite for a Billy Joel song for me, as far as like, I've heard it a million times and I could listen to it a million times more. Like, I never get bored of this song. And a little story I'll share before we jump to the next number one is this was my karaoke party trick for a long time. Admittedly, I haven't done it in a few years, but I used to, in high school and college, put this on and then like get up. It was in the smaller karaoke rooms where there's only one screen. I'd get up and then turn to everyone on the couch and not look at the screen, and everyone would be like, "What?" And then I just do the whole thing, and I still have it memorized. Admittedly, again, I haven't done it in a while, but it was always fun to kind of get that reaction. I'm not a good singer on any level, but to do that song and to impress people with that, I can just memorize this fast-paced song, was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's. There's no other song like this. Like, even It's the End of the World is similar in like it's a song about stuff at a fast pace, but it's still not the same as this song. It's just, I feel like this song is so wholly unique to Billy Joel and to just kind of music in general, even though it's not an overly complicated track. There are plenty of songs about stuff, but just not quite like this. So yeah, that's my number one.
Yeah, it's funny you say that for karaoke, because of course the words come rapid fire, but actually in terms of pure singing, the range is pretty limited, except when he's sort of shouting. So it is more achievable than some of his other songs in terms of karaoke. And also, if this was the only song of his you heard, you wouldn't realize just what an accomplished vocalist he is. But yes, this is a classic and interwoven in my childhood as well. My number one is Scenes from an Italian Restaurant.
Same, by the way. My number
I was guessing it might be Doug's as well.
Well, they live for a while in a very nice style, but it's always the same in the end. They got a divorce as a matter of course, and they parted the closest of friends. Then the king and the queen went back to the green, but you can never go back there again. Brenda and Eddie had had it already by the summer of 75. From the height of the low to the end of the show for the rest of their lives. They couldn't go back to the greasers. The best they could do was pick up their pieces. We always knew they would both find a way to get by. Oh, and that's all I heard about Brenda and Eddie. Can't tell you more 'cause I told you already. And here we are waving Brenda and Eddie goodbye. Oh, 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 oh.
So I'll say my bit on it, and then I'll pass it to Doug, who's also number one. For me, this threads the perfect needle of between ambition and just catchy pop hooks. It's a suite with multiple sections. He goes back and revisits. It's sort of bookended with the same stuff. Iconic sax solo in it, and then the narrative, the Brenda and Eddie story, which is both the catchiest part and also just this great like vignette about this Long Island couple. So to me, I love it. We're just panning around this Italian restaurant, and the music itself is also panning around to different themes, and I think it really accomplishes two things at once. It is ambitious, but also insanely catchy.
Yeah, this was a karaoke one I've done in the past, because I think it gives you a chance to shine, especially towards the very end of it. But and it does, as you said, Matt, with Read It and Start the Fire, pretty fast paced. The middle sections of it are pretty quick. But one of the things I know he's talked about is that this is speaking of like Beatles influence, like specifically citing A Day in the Life as an influence of like, here's Lennon and McCartney basically taking two wholly different songs and fusing them together. And this song is, I think, really 3 or maybe 4 different parts to it, or movements. Yeah. And they all work together. But as you said, it kind of creates this really interesting story, as it's a storytelling song about this couple that, gets together young and then breaks up, but they're still, friendly, and they, get together every once in a while for a bottle of wine. And through this, he kind of threads in all of his tricks, right? His great vocal tricks, his great piano playing, his great compositional stuff. I just find this thing endlessly impressive, very listenable, a great showcase for everything he does and does well.
Yeah, I'd say it's really 4 sections. You've got the opening sort of string driven, bottle of red. You got the jaunty, upbeat, more, whatever.
Things are okay with me these days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then you've got a ragtime section,
right,
with the clarinet solo. Then you've got Brenda and Eddie, and then you're back to the opening theme. So it's 4 different things.
I love progressive songs like this. We've talked about it a lot on the last episode with Bohemian Rhapsody, like songs that have pieces and that isolated you would think are separate songs, but fit together so well because of how they're threaded by the band or artist. And this is another one of those kinds of songs. I love these kinds of songs that they keep you on your toes. And this one especially, again, a very visual song. Like, I can picture the bottles of wine. I can picture the restaurant. I can picture the moments in these people's lives. It's very cinematic, which I think is probably my favorite thing about Billy Joel. Is it allowed my imagination to run wild as a kid. Because whether he's just listing stuff or telling a story, like, you can visualize a lot of his music. It's why I actually don't know a lot of his music videos, because to me, I wanted to imagine it. I wanted to see it. And this is probably one of his greatest storytelling, creating a scene, telling a story, making a movie of a song.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is it. We have now done our top 10 lists through Billy Joel. And so I will throw it to you guys. Why do you think it is that, I know why Billy Joel is personally meaningful for you, Matt, but what do you think it is about this that's, kept it alive, other than just Billy Joel himself still playing the music? Like, why is this still continuing to resonate into the present and future?
I mean, I think part of it is his talent, right? Undeniable, right? One of the greatest musicians, I think, of our time. But I think it's relatability, right? Like, Dylan did make some jokes about like writing these working songs while living in his giant mansion on the coast, but like, there is a relatability to the music he writes. None of it feels none of it feels like a rich guy writing songs, even though it is often a rich guy writing songs, right? There's this kind of humanity he lays out in his early career that just continues on, like even into Stormfront, my favorite record. By then, he is one of the biggest rock stars of all time, but is still writing this theatrical song about a boat and people getting knocked around in the ocean trying to make a buck, and you believe it. And I think that kind of personal touch and that way he draws you in theatrically is what really has made him stand the test of time. Like, again, initially I became a fan of Billy because of how much it meant to my dad and myself and that bond. But now in life, as I go on and share musical moments with my nephew and niece, my brother's kids, it's that kind of music that really pulls you in, the personal touch, the emotional stuff that I think really will stand the test of time. And his catalog is awash with that, like really bringing you in and making you forget that he's one of the richest rock stars to ever live, and makes you think he's a guy on the corner just panhandling for money and just trying to get by because of how authentic the songs kind of feel.
Dylan, final words?
I think that Billy Joel is a sort of singular talent in that he had the talent that he could have, like if he in the 70s had wanted to go that prog route that we were saying, sound like, Genesis or Emerson, Lake and Palmer or Yes or something like that. He actually, he alludes to stuff like that. He also, clearly, as we've talked about, I mean, he just adores, Ray Charles and Little Richard and 60s doo-wop, and sometimes he goes straight for that. He was not afraid to delve into the new synthesizer sounds and gated drums of the 80s. He wasn't afraid to hand over the lead riffs to a guitar player or saxophonist instead of him on piano. So I just think that there isn't quite anyone who does all of those quite in the same way. He gets compared a lot to Elton John, who he tours with. I think he's more ambitious than Elton John, quite honestly, and has hit in just a number of different genres or references that I think goes beyond it. And also, as Matt alluded to, there is something very relatable about his lyrics, the stories that he chooses to tell. He was sort of a tough, ornery, blue collar kid from not the coast of Long Island, but I think he's from Hicksville, which is in the middle of the island and like not a glamorous town. So he does manage to, even though he's a guy who gets a private helicopter to Madison Square Garden, his music itself is very relatable. So I really just don't know. I think the reason he endures, is because there's just nobody who has all those elements that I just laid out all in one person.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very all-American kind of sound, and there's something, as you said, I think the word you used, Dylan, was relatable. Like, there's something about the lyrics here that not only is this music beautiful and interesting in terms of its composition and the quality of all of the musicianship, but there's something about it where like it's kind of a straight arrow to your heart, where like a whole bar can be singing along to this stuff and everybody understands exactly the sentiment that Billy Joel is trying to convey in a way that, like, I like Elton John. I love Elton John's stuff. But Bernie Taupin's lyrics, sometimes you understand what he's saying. Other times he's saying stuff that just sounds like meaningless nonsense. Like,
very profound to Bernie Taupin.
Well, just saying, like, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know what the fuck Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is about. It's a beautiful, amazing song. But those lyrics, I still have struggled with. I've sat down to play it, and I'm like, I put the words in front of me, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck is this? Like, it doesn't make any sense. That's not true of Billy Joel. He writes like he's just like, I'm trying to, I'm not going up here. I'm going down here. I want everybody to understand what I mean because I'm speaking from the heart. And all of his stuff is that way. So like when you combine that with these like indelible melodies, like, I think our mutual friend Downeaster is that like he's tired of Billy Joel because he's a karaoke jockey and everybody's picking Billy Joel songs to do. And there's a reason, right? Like everybody just loves, there's something for everybody with this guy. There's some song that just connects. And he's just, probably be playing Madison Square Garden until he drops dead, because of that. Yep. All right. So that brings us to the end. Time for plug-in. Matt, please tell the good people about all the great podcasts you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Doug. This is always a pleasure. I'm glad to get a twofer with Dylan. I feel like this trifecta rather, we'll just have to do music episodes from now on, infinitum, because I think it's a fun balance. But no, this was a blast. I'm glad that you guys were amenable to pushing it out a bit and getting to do it. I'm really happy to have been a part of it. And to find me, the best place you can go is djstormageddon.com. It's my link tree. It has all the stuff I'm working on. I do a broader video game podcast called Fun and Games with the incredible Jeff Moonen, where we take on different topics within gaming, and we also have incredible guests, do interviews, console retrospectives, genre retrospectives, a whole bunch of video game goodness if you're into that. We have a sub-series within the feed called Side Quests, which Doug has done a few episodes for, where a person talks about a game they love and why they love it. It's a really great series that I've been able to curate of people just gushing about why they love video games, which is kind of the ethos of the show. And then my other podcast, Reignite, is a play-along podcast started covering the Mass Effect trilogy and then Andromeda, and now we're covering the Dragon Age series. We're currently playing through Dragon Age 2. I do that with the incredible Frankie Bradley Lestrange. And so if you love fantasy and putting yourself in the shoes of characters and deciding which characters you'd like to romance and talking about it, that's a great show for you. And if you want to connect with me online, the best place is BlueSky. I'm DJ Stormageddon on BlueSky as well. Just djstormageddon.com there, and you will find me.
All right. Dylan, tell the folks out there about Lost Moon Radio and the Moon Units, both of which are awesome.
Thank you. Lost Moon Radio is a rock and roll sketch comedy group. We have a ongoing glam rock comedy act by fictional British glam rock legend Roger Wodehouse. You could go to lostmoonradio.com or rogerwodehouse.com to learn about the next show. And then the Moon Units is a wedding band, corporate band, party band, live band, karaoke. We do it all, and including a lot of these songs that we were talking about by Billy Joel. And you can find us at themoonunits.com if you are in Southern California and have an event that you would like us to play.
All right, and if you want to get in touch with us, of course, you just Google up the word Nostalgium and look for the social network of your choice. Just message us through any of those. I would recommend if you're going to follow us on either Facebook, Instagram, or BlueSky, because that's where I post clues and stuff on Wednesday as to what the next episode is going to be. If you have time and are so inclined, please do drop a review of the show, also for Matt's shows, any podcast you listen to, because dropping reviews actually does a whole lot for podcasts behind the scenes in terms of helping them reach new audiences and stuff. And of course, the best thing you can do that we love the most is word of mouth. Please tell people you enjoyed it. So with that, I think that'll do it for this podcast on Billy Joel. So thanks so much, guys, for dropping by.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, everybody. And so until next time, that is one more entry in the Nostalgium Arcanum.
Bottle of reds, bottle of whites. Whatever kind of mood you're in tonight, I'll meet you anytime you want in our Italian restaurant. A billionaire scientist who never had time for his son. But then something went screwy, and before you knew, he was trying to kill everyone. Then he's riding around on that glider thing, and he's throwing that weird pumpkin bomb. Yes, he's wearing that dumb Power Rangers mask, but he's scarier without it on. Sling us a web, you're the Spider-Man. Sling us a web tonight, 'cause you're brave and you're strong and so limber now. But where'd you come